Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it's an early morning here. I'm just heading into work. Actually, it's not too early, but I figured I would do this video here. So I've hit about 500 miles on my Dodge Challenger SRT8 that I recently purchased about 4 months ago. I haven't driven it too much here, except now when the weather has cleared in northern Wisconsin. I have put on, I don't know, probably a good 200 to 300 miles in it, besides the little bit that I had to drive it back from where I purchased it from. So I figured this was the perfect time to do a 500 mile review on the vehicle. So if you haven't watched any of my videos before, this 500 mile review, we will cover interior, exterior, quick, and driving dynamics. So you can probably hear the engine. This is a 6-speed manual. I am new to manual cars. That is for sure. It's been a long time since I've driven a manual, so I've just been slowly trying to get that manual feel down. But starting with the exterior here, when I get to my shop, I will take some exterior videos here. But this is a sweet looking car. This is a 2009 SRT8, so it does come with the 6.1 liter Hemi V8 with a stock rating of 425 horsepower and 420 torque. So I have just some minor modifications to it. I've got a cold air intake done, and then an exhaust to it as well. So that number is definitely increased, and which I can feel it. More so matches my Chrysler 300 SRT8 that I have. Just got to find those notches in the transmission. It was 46 degrees overnight, so this transmission is still a little bit cold, so I don't necessarily want to push it. But the engine is really responsive. Now, paired to that is a Tremec 6060 6-speed manual transmission. So right now I am rolling through the gears here, and I do have to say it is very easy. It's not a short throw, that is for sure. I have to make this clear. I'm no manual transmission expert by any means, but I did drive a long time ago, I did drive a Mitsubishi Eclipse manual and a newer Honda Accord for the time, a brand new Honda Accord 6-speed manual. The Honda Accord actually had short throws. It was really nice to shift. That was, of course, a 4-cylinder engine. This is a V8. But the throws are a little longer. You know, you could modify that if you want. I'm not going to modify this. I don't mind it at all. But the notches, it is notchy. It notches right into place. Once the transmission warms up, you know what gear you're in. There is no question what gear you're in, and it is very, very easy to drive that way. Of course, I did stall the vehicle here when I first bought it, but that's to be expected. If you drive manuals, it takes a little bit to get used to them again. But now that I've gotten used to it, I feel comfortable driving it, and now the next step for me is to learn how to drive it fast. So overall, the manual, if you're looking for one of these, whether it's a newer Scat Pack or a newer RT with the manual, it's all going to be the same. They're very easy to drive. Or an older SRT like this, they're very easy to drive. So working around in the interior here, some things that I do like. I actually had a older Chrysler 200, a 2011 hardtop convertible as my first car that had this Uconnect, this first iteration of Uconnect. I like it a lot. It's so simple to use. It's straight to the point. It's not a lot of extra crap that you get in all these other systems. You have hard buttons as well. It's just very simplistic, and I really do appreciate that a lot. With that being said, this Challenger didn't come with automatic air. It's manual air control with one zone. That's it. So I don't mind that very much. I don't ever take people in this car besides my girlfriend, and I don't drive this car a lot, so for me it really doesn't matter. Now I know the newer Challengers do come with some more luxuries in that matter, but the seats are super comfortable. I get heated seats. I don't have a heated steering wheel, of course, but that was a nice launching too. There we go. Oh man, you just can't beat that sound. Oh man. Okay, so going back, the seats are your typical first generation SRT seats. They're super comfortable, probably one of the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in, and it bolsters you nice. I'm a smaller person, so it bolsters you really nice. You do have manual controls on the Challenger to raise or lower your seat back, and then you do have manual controls for the lumbar too, which is really nice. Seats are awesome. Heated seats work fantastic. As I'm turning mine down right now, they get really hot really fast. The climate control is actually really nice in here. It warms up fast. It's very simple, to the point. You know, everything about this car is to the point, including the infotainment system. The gauge cluster in front of me is really nice. I do appreciate that. RPMs on the right, speedometer on the left, your temp gauge on the far right, and then your fuel gauge on the far left. And this kind of had the first iteration of SRT performance pages here. So you do get your miles per hour, braking distance from 60 to 0, your 0 to 60 times, your quarter mile, eighth mile, that type of stuff, G-forces. So you get that in a little digital display off to the left. So that was kind of the first iteration of performance pages. Also, some other things that come with this car here, you do get an auto dimming rearview mirror, which is pretty sweet. But compared to even my 300, you don't get automatic rain sensing wipers. You don't get automatic high beams. Ooh, we have some deer up here. The brakes are really good, Brembos. You don't get automatic high beams, and you just don't get some of that extra stuff that you get with the older SRT 300s of this generation. There are no front or rear there are no front or rear beepers, so basically the sonar sensors, there are none of that. So you have to be pretty precise here when you're backing this thing up or putting it in tight spaces, because you don't have any of those rear detectors to tell you how far away you are from an object. Also, some other things I want to cover here. Yeah, the dash is injected molded plastic. I mean, there are some harder plastics in this vehicle, but this was recession era, 09, so it is to be expected. This SRT steering wheel isn't great compared to the new ones. That's one gripe of this. The steering wheel is way too big for this vehicle. But moving on here, you do have some, I don't know if you can see it, but the door sills here, you do have some nice Alcantara suede along the door sills that kind of free up some of that plastic a little bit. I do like the doors. They're big, they're heavy, and I do appreciate that a lot. The rear seat is actually very spacious. It's as spacious as the Chevy Volt that myself and my girlfriend share. That's amazing. So that's something to look for. You can easily fit people in the back. I can fit behind myself just great at 5'8". Oh goodness. This thing is so much fun to drive. Okay, so with that, let's hit on driving dynamics here. This is a blast to drive with the manual transmission and this engine. It really livens the engine up. You can rev it high in the rev range, no problem. My recommendation is to find one of these in the manual, whether it's an older SRT like this, even the RT with the regular 5.7 liter Hemi V8. I've had tons of those engines, and those are just a blast to drive as well. Or, you know, a newer version of this. So get the manual for sure. 6-speed manual, the way to go. On top of that, This car it's a heavy vehicle. It's 4,200 pounds, 4,100 pounds, and it's grown since then with the more tech and everything else that they put in these vehicles. But with that, I do have to say the braking is excellent with these Brembos. Now, it doesn't have the 15.3-inch dinner plates that come with the newer SRTs or the Scat Packs, but it does come with, I believe, 14.8s on the front and then 14.3s on the back. I may be wrong on that number. So it definitely has more than enough stopping power. Hitting on the steering here. The steering is typical of SRT, devoid of any feedback from the road, which kind of sucks. But it is precise. It is very tight. And I do appreciate that on a larger vehicle. So when you are in corners, you can huck this thing around a corner, and as long as you have control of the rear, the steering will get you to where you need to be. Tire sizes, 245s up front, 255s in the rear. So this could definitely use a bigger tire for the horsepower that it has. Maybe a 275 I think would be sufficient on this vehicle, but I am very impressed with the steering and the suspension. The suspension setup is a little bit rougher than the 300 that I own, but with that being said, this was the time, this did have Bilsteins, but this was the time before adaptive suspension, so it is just one suspension mode. It's nice. It's definitely not overly stiff. We have a Durango with that adaptive Bilstein suspension. When you put it into track mode, it gets stiff. When you put it into normal, it is nice. So the best way to describe this is right in the middle of a comfort and a track. So it's right in that sport mode. And I do appreciate that. It's definitely not overly stiff, but it gives you that sporty feeling when you're going around corners or when you're going over bumps, anything like that. And then it wants to push you to, if you're not doing hard acceleration, it wants to push you to 4th gear, which, goodness, still provides you with enough torque to get up to speed. Just amazing. Oh man. But yeah, definitely not a rough ride by any means. You definitely notice the bumps a little bit more than, let's just say, a 300 or even a Magnum SRT, but it's not punishing. It is not punishing. This is a tight, well put together driving machine, and you can have some fun in the corners with this vehicle, from what I found out. Here we go again. The clutch is heavy on this vehicle, so it takes a little bit of getting used to. Sunroof, this also comes with a sunroof as well. This overall is just a sweet ride. And for somebody getting into manuals, this or the RT is a perfect car to start with, in my opinion. You do have to respect the power, respect the car, of course, but this is very, very reliable, very safe, and it will definitely provide you with a lot of smiles per gallon. Don't worry about the miles per gallon. But alright guys, thanks for watching my 500-mile review of the Challenger. We'll just go over some quick outside looks of the vehicle, and that will be it. Alright guys, take care. Alcoa forged rims with the Brembo brakes, 6.1 liter Hemi V8, nice SRT. This is really just a great looking vehicle here. Nice retro design, matches the retro design of the 300 a little bit here. Overall, a great looking vehicle.